Pharmacists are one of the most successful healthcare professionals, but also one of the most underutilized. The business model for a pharmacy has always been predicted on a dispensing model framework. However, dispensing fees have remained stagnant since the early 90s, and governments which control the price of medication have been steadily reducing the prices, eroding margins, and placing increased pressure on the pharmacist business model. The government has recognized the need to address this loss of revenue and has started reimbursing pharmacists for clinical services. These services can include smoking cessation consults, diabetes consults, and medication reviews, just to name a few. Recently, a related study concluded that pharmacist-led medication management services have a 29% return on investment for every dollar spent. Additionally, about 95% of surveyed patients agreed their overall health and well-being had improved as a result of these services. Our initial assumption was that one of the biggest barriers in completing reimbursed clinical services was the extra time it took to document. This led us to identify the following problem. The increased workload and lack of up-to-date technology required to document efficiently makes it difficult for pharmacists to conduct revenue-based clinical services. Our proposed solution was to create a clinical tool that would speed up the documentation process. This would add value to pharmacists by saving the time it takes to manually document and sift through various clinical reference tools. In order to validate our value proposition, our first four hypotheses were: pharmacists are concerned about the impact of revenue loss. Pharmacists feel they should be performing more clinical services. Clinical services are a way to offset revenue loss, and pharmacists are not performing enough clinical services due to lack of time. After conducting more than 40 in-depth interviews over the phone and in person, we were able to validate hypothesis 1 and 2, but could not conclusively validate hypothesis 3 and 4. According to over 50% of pharmacists, the time it took to document wasn't the biggest barrier. Our key findings highlighted that documentation in its entirety isn't the only time-consuming activity. There was also a substantial amount of time required to prepare for each service, making it difficult to complete these services on the spot without any preparation. We also found that pharmacists were more likely to complete clinical services when they had a long-standing history with the patient. However, many patients were not even aware that pharmacies provided clinical services. Finally, pharmacists did not even see clinical services as a full answer in recuperating revenue loss because of the high labor costs associated. This led us to pivot our solution and create a new value proposition to increase patient awareness and engagement with their pharmacists, to improve the ability for pharmacists to spend more time focusing on conducting clinical services and on chronic disease management. We decided to test our new hypothesis on both pharmacists and patients, which were then further validated. Our new hypotheses for pharmacists were: there are currently no widespread tools that allow both pharmacists and patients to consistently engage. Pharmacists are more likely to complete a clinical service when requested by a patient and booked in advance. After completing a care plan, it is often difficult to follow up with patients, resulting in loss of revenue and inability for pharmacists to play an active role in chronic disease management. Our new validated hypothesis for patients were: patients are unaware of the services pharmacists provide, and patients would use their pharmacists more if they are aware of the services they could provide. Based on these findings, our new proposed solution is a two-way SaaS platform that facilitates engagement between pharmacists and patients. The three main patient features include a portal that patients can access to review past clinical services carried out by pharmacists and track mutual goals, the ability to store and monitor personal health metrics, and a direct channel that allows patients to communicate with the pharmacist and book clinical services through the platform. The three main pharmacist features include the ability to monitor chronic diseases with greater accuracy and with real-time information in order to better manage care and encourage timely follow-ups, to send patients relevant educational health information, to better equip patients with tools to manage their own health, and to utilize smart algorithms that allow pharmacists to better predict health outcomes based on collected data and key individual health metrics. In addition, this tool will ultimately reduce the time it takes for pharmacists to gather each patient's health data and better prepare themselves before a clinical service. Our engagement platform will provide the greatest value for both pharmacists and patients, as it is uniquely positioned in between three key market segments: care management, patient management, and practice management. Our two key customer segments include newly graduated business owners who are open to adopting new technology solutions and already practicing pharmacists who are looking to realign their pharmacy operations but are unsure how to leverage technology to improve the quality of care and address their decreasing revenues. Our channels include direct sales referrals, making presentations at industry conferences through influencers and social media marketing. We will maintain our customer relationships through online and ongoing support. Our revenue streams will come from monthly subscriptions, advertising, white labeling, and we hope to look at future revenue streams through partnerships with insurance companies and pharmaceutical companies. As a key resource, our existing platforms will allow us to aggregate patient data, and key activities include a two-sided platform and production support. We will be partnering with independent pharmacy banners, non-for-profit health organizations, and provincial pharmacy associations. Our main costs include the platform management and development, as well as the licensing. We are currently in the prototyping phase where we have created a tool that pharmacists can directly set up individual patients and customize goals. Our vision is to make the health aisle accessible for patients and pharmacists across the world. Our initial target market will be independent pharmacies in Canada. There are over 10,000 independent pharmacies, translating to a market size of approximately 20 million. Beyond that, we have firm plans to enter the US market that has about 67,000 community pharmacies, representing a market size of around 125 million. Looking further ahead, we also plan to expand into Europe and Australia. There are currently 3 members on the founding team. Aliyah Kasamali, the CEO, and has a background in science, business, and pharmacy. Ahmed Jamal is the COO and has had experience working with multiple healthcare startups. Karina Gonzalez is the CTO and CXO with relevant experience in the development of web solutions and user experience. At this stage, our advisor is David Rose, who played a key role in our market research in order to ensure product market fit. We are currently in the process of adding key advisors in the health and pharmacy space.